welcome to the Flexitarian Feast. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Eliz, and we are two home cooks trying to eat more plants. Thank you for joining us today. This episode is all about beans.
Beans, the magical fruit. Fall is totally bean season.
Absolutely. Although I know some people in my family would say that any season is bean season.
I totally agree. I love beans. So, Eliz, do you typically buy canned beans or do you cook them from dried?
So I just started cooking them from dried this year. Before that, I've always bought canned beans, and I still buy canned beans. I always buy black beans, and I always have usually garbanzo beans and also refried pinto beans in the pantry, just because it's a really fast and easy dinner, or even lunch or snack with the kids. They love beans so much. But we just this year got into the Rancho Bean Club, which is a bean subscription service. And they are heirloom beans. They work with small farmers in Mexico to grow a lot of indigenous beans. So they're just like really cool, interesting, delicious beans. The wait list for this club was 6 months long.
I can't believe that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you can buy them in specialty grocery stores too. I know there's a couple places in Portland that sell them, and they are so beautiful and delicious. I mean, I would definitely recommend them. The Bean of the Month Club is just fun. It's a couple times a year. I totally recommend them.
That's really cool. I bought some once after you posted about one specific recipe, and then I haven't bought any other ones, but you forwarded me their newsletter too, and I really liked that.
Their newsletter is great. The company is run by a man named Steve Sando, which is like such a great name for it. He's like the bean guy. He has lots of great recipes, and he actually has a cookbook out too that's really good. And he has a new cookbook coming out about pozole.
Ooh.
So
a whole book about pozole, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Michelle, do you cook dried beans mostly, or do you do canned beans?
I do mostly cook dried beans. I just buy whatever out of the bulk bin at whatever grocery store I go to. I use the Instant Pot, and I've never really had a lot of problems except for with garbanzo beans. They never turn out.
I have always had trouble with garbanzo beans too. Yeah,
so I'll usually have cans of those on hand. I also really like buying the like ones that are already baked and crunchy and seasoned.
Yeah, we get those all the time. Those are like one of our favorite snacks.
Yeah, they're a good snack, and they're also really good to put on a salad, like instead of croutons. So
they're so good. I love the ranch. There's a ranch flavored one.
I like the falafel one.
Ooh, I've never tried.
Yeah, they're kind of like a little bit spicy.
I get the honey ones that the kids like love, the honey flavored ones.
I bet I'd love those too.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever I try to roast them myself, they don't get crunchy enough. So that's
Have you tried air frying them?
I haven't.
I tried once and it did not get crunchy enough either. I don't know what. Maybe it's like how on the internet people say caramelizing onions only takes like 15 minutes. Because like I cannot get them to be crunchy.
I've also read that it's easier to crisp them up in a pan on the stove.
Oh,
but I haven't tried that either. So I just buy those crunchy ones.
Seems like a lot of work.
It's easier.
Yeah.
So how do you normally cook them when you do cook beans?
Okay, so this is what I do, and I learned this from Steve Sando, who's the Rancho Bean guy, my bean guy.
He's an expert.
He's an expert in beans, and so this is what I do. I always soak the beans the night before, and then in the morning I drain them, and which is actually something that is hotly debated in the bean community. Do you drain your beans?
I don't even soak my beans. I just use the Instant Pot without soaking.
Oh,
so
well.
When I did do them on the stovetop, I would drain them and use fresh water.
So I don't think you have to drain them, but I do. I don't know why. Maybe I should try. I've never done it without draining them.
I wonder what the difference is. What is the debate?
Taste and flavor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who knows?
So anyways, I drain them and then I refill the pot about an inch above the beans. And then I chop up an onion coarsely and I chop up a carrot coarsely and I throw it all in the pot. And then you want it to come to a hard boil for about 15 minutes. And that's key. Like you want it to be like a rolling hard boil. And then you reduce it down to like barely a simmer, like a teeny little tiny simmer until they're done, which can be an hour or even 2 hours, depending on the type of bean and how big they are and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the key is you do not want to salt beans until they are done cooking. Do not salt at the beginning. You salt at the end. And then when you serve them, you can take out the onion and carrot, or you could even throw some garlic or herbs in there too when you start cooking it. And that's what I do. And it's very simple. But if I'm taking the time to cook dried beans, especially some of these fancier heirloom beans, I want the beans to be like the star of the meal. And
Absolutely.
So we just don't really do too much with them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I pretty much use the same onion,
Yeah.
maybe garlic sometimes, or carrot maybe. But when I do an Instant Pot, just mainly I use an onion always. everything else is variable.
Right.
So, and then it's just way less time, and I don't even do the soaking. I just am too impatient. I love that I can be like, what do I want to eat tonight? Oh, I think I'm
beans.
going to make beans. And then I just get home, start them right away while I'm doing the dishes or whatever, and then they're done. And
so you do them in the Instant Pot.
yeah, and usually what I do, because I have had problems where I overcooked them or they just didn't come out right. So now what I usually do is, I think the good time to do is 20 minutes, and then I'll do 20 minutes, and then I'll take them out of the Instant Pot and put them in a pot on the stove and just simmer them for a while longer, really low.
That's so smart.
Yeah, so they keep cooking, but like at a slower rate. And then while that's going, I can cook rice or prep whatever else I'm making for dinner.
Okay, that's so smart because that's always my thing. If I'm making beans, I'm probably making rice, and I use my Instant Pot to make rice. So I was always like, how do you do both?
Yeah, so I do the beans first always because it takes I don't know, I feel like it takes longer, but it's probably just because I do this transfer thing. And then they can stay hot on the stove too. They're not going to, if you cook rice first, then you have to keep the rice hot, and that's not going to work.
Kind of a pain, yeah.
So yeah, I do the beans first, let them chill over there, and then you can stir them, taste them, season them while they're kind of doing the last simmer part. So that's what I do. And it works great. And I do lentils the same way.
Ooh, let's talk about lentils.
Yeah, I mean, lentils count, right?
I think they count as beans.
I think so too. I had to look it up though because I wasn't sure, but I did. The internet told me.
Are they technically a bean?
The internet told me that they are a grain legume, so they are related to beans, sort of. They're in the same family.
Yeah. Do you know that peanuts are beans?
No, they're not.
Because they're legumes.
I didn't know that. We should talk about peanuts.
Oh yeah, we should. I love peanuts.
I do too.
I'm actually not a huge lentil fan, so can you tell me about lentils?
Well,
because I need some help.
I thought I hated lentils. I don't know where I got this idea from, but
they can be mushy.
Yeah, and so what I discovered that I like is the French lentils. They're called Chickpea lentils. They're kind of greenish, grayish color.
Yeah.
And so those, I cook them in the Instant Pot just with a bay leaf and like a chopped up onion. And you don't have to fish it out at the end. So like they just add flavor. And you just, I forget how long you cook it for, but they taste so good just right out of the pot like that.
Yeah.
And then what I like to do with them is, so you can drain them and just keep them in the fridge or keep them in liquid and then scoop them out with a slotted spoon or whatever. You can just throw them into a salad. Like they're really good with like a kale salad that has a citrusy dressing.
Ooh,
or
yum.
anything acidic they're good with. They're kind of, I don't want to say they're rich, but they do good with like lemony
They're
stuff.
kind of creamy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to throw them in a salad or there's this really delicious, it's kind of a mushroom-based bolognese sauce that I make.
Oh, yeah.
So one time I had lentils to use. I just threw them in there because they don't really have, like they have a flavor from the bay leaf and stuff, but they're not super intensely flavored on their own.
Right. Yeah,
so
you can really mix them in. I think I made a lentil meatloaf one time.
Yeah. I made like meatballs with them too. So they're really good at kind of replacing ground meats in a lot of recipes because they do have that toothsome quality.
Yeah.
Whereas like red lentils, if you put them in something, they
just fall apart.
Dissolve basically.
That's such a great idea too, because if you are trying to reduce your meat intake and maybe your family members don't want to, you can always just stretch your meat by adding chopped up mushrooms and lentils.
Absolutely.
And then you can still have beef or pork in your bolognese sauce, but
it's less.
It's just less.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Which actually is better for your budget too.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
I'm actually thinking of a red lentil dish that I do like, which is from Feeding a Family, which is a great cookbook by Sarah Waldman. You cook the red lentils in coconut milk with ginger, and then you kind of finish it by stirring some baby spinach in to wilt. It's delicious, and my kids liked it. And actually, it's a great like first baby food because it's so soft and mushy. I mean, you could really like spoon feed a baby.
It sounds delicious. It's kind of similar to that. There was a similar dish called the stew that was like a viral...
The stew! Alison Roman's
thing.
stew.
Yeah, so that's pretty similar, right? I think. I haven't made it.
Chickpeas in it.
I don't know. I haven't made it.
It's
very similar.
Can I say this? I didn't love the stew.
Oh, dang! We're gonna get some hate messages on that
it went viral on Instagram.
Yeah.
But the stew, yeah, I think it's chickpeas, and you like mush up half of the chickpeas.
Oh.
And so that kind of thickens the stew, and then...
but it has the red lentils too, right?
I don't know if it does have...
Oh.
Does it have red lentils in it?
I haven't made it.
We'll link to it in the show notes.
I have a friend that was like, she wanted to start cooking more, so she was like, let's just get together and cook together, and then like split the food or whatever. So she suggested making that, but we haven't actually done it yet.
Allison Roman's recipes, I think, are great for somebody who wants to start cooking more and, is nervous about it. Because they're pretty like user friendly, or they're not too complicated, but they taste really interesting. And I think she uses a lot of citrus and a lot of bright flavors and herbs. And so, you could basically put like lemon juice and fresh herbs on anything.
Right.
And it would, it's going to be a good end result.
Yeah. Does she have a cookbook?
She does. She has a cookbook, and then she has another cookbook coming out like in a couple weeks. She's actually going to be on tour in Portland pretty soon.
Are you going to see her?
I hope so. I don't know what the event. There's no tickets yet for the event. So.
It's probably at Pal's or something?
No, she didn't.
It's not released?
No.
It's a secret?
It's a secret.
Wow. Fancy.
Anyways. But yeah, she writes for New York Times Cooking, and so a lot of her recipes are on there.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So lentils are obviously great because they cook super fast, but canned beans are even faster.
Absolutely.
So what do you do with canned beans?
My favorite thing is burrito bowls, I guess. I still would make rice, I guess.
You really can't go wrong with a burrito bowl.
Yeah, beans and rice and whatever other toppings you want, like guacamole, chips. You could
what's in the fridge?
Yeah, what's in there? When we
have some like cherry tomatoes on the counter, that would be good.
Yeah, like an old zucchini, roast it.
Great.
Like, I don't know. That's an easy one. What about you?
Well, both my kids love refried beans, and so that is like the easiest, quickest dinner is just to spread them on a tortilla. The kids can actually do this on their own. They can spread the refried beans and then sprinkle some cheese.
Wait, how old are they?
So my kids are 2 and 4.
Wow, that's good.
Making a quesadilla with refried canned beans is pretty easy.
But still, you got to open the can.
Yeah, well, they can't open the can.
Get the
Maybe
cheese
Ada
out.
could open the can. They mostly just like shovel the beans and the cheese into their mouth while they're trying to make it.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I just heat it up in the oven or even the microwave. And they love black olives. And so whenever I make tacos or quesadillas, I serve that with it. And then just some cut up bell peppers.
Is there any kid that doesn't love black olives?
I don't know.
Like, do they put them on their fingers?
They put them on their fingers. They pretend like they're eyeballs. They do all kinds of stuff.
I still love black olives. Yeah. They're the best. My other favorite thing that I like to make is from alexandracooks.com. One of my favorite blogs.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Love her. I love her Instagram too.
I do
she
too.
does her recipe demos or whatever. But she has this chickpea taco bowl recipe, and it doesn't have rice, so it's lighter. It's like you cook the chickpeas in this sauce and make this really delicious saucy sauce for the chickpeas that they cook in, so they absorb all the flavor.
Oh, yeah.
And then you kind of just have it with lettuce and cheese or whatever toppings you want. So it's more of like a salad.
Taco salad, kind of.
Because it's lighter.
Yeah.
Or you can put it in tacos too. It's really good. It's just a really good seasoning, and I love the method. I've used it for mushrooms too.
I'm definitely going to look into that. I've never thought about having chickpeas with
It's
Mexican
really good like this,
food.
for sure. So that's my other favorite can of bean thing. So there's also one can of beans is like the perfect amount for my husband and I.
For 2 people, yeah.
So I like doing that.
Yeah.
Once in a while. It's easy.
Super easy. And that would probably make a great leftover.
Yeah.
If you did have leftover.
For sure. You can double it or
Yeah.
keep it for lunch.
Yeah. Have you ever made a hummus bowl? Because I keep seeing these on
Yes,
the internet.
that's
They're kind
my
of like
other
a
favorite.
hot thing right now.
That's one of my absolute favorite things too. Like, especially when it's kind of a hot day.
Yeah, it's a good summer thing.
Yeah, but I'm probably going to be making it through the winter too. I actually just saved a recipe for a hummus bowl that was like with spiced lamb, but I'm going to do it with soy curls.
Ooh.
So I'll report back on that.
Yeah, report back on the soy curls.
Yeah, so the hummus bowl, what I do is I'll just buy whatever hummus at the store, or you can make hummus if you're really ambitious.
I don't really like homemade hummus.
I have made it a couple times and I do like it.
Oh,
but
you do?
I just do it in my blender, and my blender kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I need a food processor. But so to me it's easier, and also it makes a ton whenever I've made it. So it's too much. So I just like buying it. But so I just get plain usually, or I like roasted red pepper hummus too. And then I'll make a little really simple, just chop up like tomatoes, cucumber, and maybe a little red onion if you have it, and squeeze lemon juice and olive oil on it, and maybe parsley if you have it too, and salt, a little salt.
Yum.
So that's like a little cucumber salad, and then just put like hummus on the plate, roast whatever vegetables you want. Like my favorite is cauliflower with za'atar.
Yes.
But anything with
That would
like
be so
cumin
good.
or smoked paprika, anything that sort of like mimics a meaty savory, like,
Really, yeah.
you know, like what you'd have with Lebanese cuisine or
Right.
something, like something that you'd have like on a skewer. That's the
Right.
seasonings that you want. So roast your vegetables like that, plop them on the bowl, put a little cucumber salad in there. You can also toss in like mixed greens,
Right.
dressed or not, like maybe just dress them with lemon and olive oil too. And maybe pita bread if you want it.
Yeah.
Feta
Or
if you
pita
have
chips
it.
would be good.
Olives.
Olives, definitely.
Like anything that goes with that you want to snack. It's kind of like a snack dinner, but a little more composed.
a little more fancy.
Yeah.
With like roasted vegetables.
Yeah. And it's delicious. I love making that.
I should make that.
You should. It's
I think
easy.
that would be such a hit for like
Your kids would love it.
for a family dinner because they love hummus. They ate an entire container of hummus for a snack today.
I've done that too.
I was like, what is happening? Why are you eating all of this?
Like 10 years ago, I didn't even eat hummus.
That's so funny.
It's crazy to
Yeah.
me. But yeah, and hummus is made out of chickpeas, so that counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's like such an easy dinner too.
Yeah. And also if you
just like
did
pull
want to
it
like
out of the fridge. You don't even have to roast the vegetables if you didn't
absolutely,
want
you
to.
could just have like raw veggies, like just don't even bother with the salad part, just chop up a cucumber.
Or you know what you can do is you can roast vegetables from the freezer. So if you buy a bag of like frozen broccoli, you just throw it on the sheet pan and roast it at high heat.
What?
Have you ever done that?
No.
It turns out great. You just don't thaw it.
Do you put oil or anything?
Yeah, put oil and salt.
So
and
just normal?
just normal. Just roast it.
Does it take longer?
No.
Probably takes less time.
Yeah. You just have
Does
to
it
watch it. But you
Still
can get
like charred?
yeah, it gets charred.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's like a game changer
Dude,
because
I'm learning something every time
frozen
we do this.
vegetables are such a great. They're like great quality.
Yeah.
They're frozen at the peak of freshness. They have great nutrition.
Yeah.
Like frozen vegetables are awesome.
There's only some things that I buy frozen, but maybe I will expand my
yeah.
options. I usually just keep like peas and
Peas
broccoli.
and corn. We do
corn in the
a lot.
winter. Yeah.
And broccoli.
I had this
but
idea.
frozen cauliflower is great.
Yeah, that's probably I should do that. I just had this idea over the summer and I didn't do it. Now I feel like it's too late. But I was planning to like just buy all the corn I could get my hands on and like slice it off and
I had
freeze
the
it
same
myself.
idea.
just
You know why?
didn't get it
Because
together.
this is a little off topic, but Thanksgiving, I feel like there's a lot of like corn type recipes that would be so great with Thanksgiving dinner, but corn's not in season at Thanksgiving.
Totally.
I'm like, wouldn't it be great to like pull out like a fresh corn
It's just
pudding
so
or something?
good in the summer.
So good.
Gosh, I already miss it. I know.
I did not take advantage of
Me
corn
too.
this year.
I was like, one thing I made, and I was like, this is so good. Why haven't we been eating corn at every meal? Like,
I know. And
I
you kind of
regret it.
scrape out the like milk
it's
from the
so
husks.
good.
Oh yeah.
What I
love
do
fresh
too
corn.
though is like save the corn cobs for my vegetable broth that I make.
Ooh,
Put
that's
them
so
in
smart.
put them in the bag in the freezer.
freezer bag?
with all my other scraps, and then I make broth out of it for all my soups because I
That's
love
amazing.
soup.
We should do an episode about soup.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I feel like you're really the soup queen.
I used to have a soup blog, so
I know.
yeah, it's kind of my jam. What
Anyways,
else? Let's see.
Do you
What
make
else do you
beans?
do with
Do you make
beans?
bean soup?
Yeah, chili, obviously.
Yeah, obviously chili.
There's all kinds of things you can do with beans, but one of my favorite, I have a bunch of favorite soups that have beans, but one of my absolute favorites that I haven't made yet this year, but it's like, it's a white bean and mushroom soup.
Oh man,
And I
that
think
sounds
the
so good.
only other seasoning it has really is, I think it has garlic and thyme.
Time, yeah.
And so what you do is you roast the mushrooms, and
Mm-hmm.
then while the mushrooms are roasting, you just cook the onion, and then you add the broth and the beans, and then you blend that up. So as much as you want,
Right.
but that creates a creamy base without having any cream.
Oh, so it's like
So
there's
it's a
no
really,
cream in it.
No cream at all.
Yum.
So then you put the mushrooms back in, and it's so good. It's like super creamy and satisfying. That like I want
Yeah.
something rich and creamy, but it has no
oh, that sounds
dairy.
delicious.
So you should try it. It's really good.
All right, let's put that recipe in the show notes too.
Yeah, for sure. And if you like mushrooms, especially roasted mushrooms,
You know
can
that's my
load
favorite
them
kind
up.
of. You know I love mushrooms.
Yes, load them up. And I guess what you can do too is, I think what I do too is like I'll scoop out some of the beans, so I don't blend all the beans.
Right. So there's still some heft
But
there.
you want a lot of them to get blended up because that's what makes the creamy
Yeah.
base.
I think that's kind of what the stew is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's like a thick.
White beans are so good.
Yeah, I love white beans. They're really good to put into a salad too.
Yeah,
Like,
and I also like putting them in like pesto pasta
ooh, yeah, good
um,
idea.
just to like add some protein.
That's a
and
really
creaminess.
good idea. Yeah.
And yeah, they're kind of that their like flavor goes really well with pesto. I
Yeah,
think.
they have like a more delicate flavor.
Yeah.
So they're good in a lot of things. I like having them, I like making a salad sometimes with like, I don't know if it's Greek but so maybe more niçoise inspired.
yeah.
Am I saying that right? But like with
Niçoise, yeah.
tuna and olives and
the green
artichoke
beans.
hearts
Yeah.
and green beans and white beans go great with that stuff.
Oh my gosh, I'm thinking right now about this kidney bean dish that this pizzeria near where I grew up has this like marinated kidney beans, and it had tons of garlic and parsley, and it must have had probably had like red wine vinegar and olive oil.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they made a giant vat of this like kidney bean mixture. But when I was pregnant with Charlie, I was like craving that so bad, and I emailed them to get the recipe, and they said no.
What?
I know. I was like,
that's crazy.
I know, but I'm just thinking about that because kidney bean is not really like the most beloved of beans.
No, I'd say it's probably my least favorite, but it's good in chili.
It is good. You can't really have chili without kidney
exactly.
beans.
That place, is it like a local restaurant?
Yeah,
or
it's like a local restaurant.
I wonder, you should try just Googling it because I've done this before too.
Yeah, I did try it.
Oh, damn.
I know.
Sucks.
I know.
Well, you'll have to just make your own. You have to just make your own. Yeah. You'll have to just make up your own kidney bean salad
Marinated
recipe.
kidney beans.
Yeah.
I think
cook them in the Instant Pot.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you'll make me a believer someday.
I don't know.
One more bean recipe I really want to talk about was the best thing I made this entire summer, and you made this recipe too, I
did.
think.
When you posted the picture, I was like, I'm making that immediately.
It was so good. And it's really one of those dishes you can only make in the summer. And so we really cannot enjoy it again until next August.
I know. I made it too late in the season. I was really sad.
I know. I wish I could have made it more than once. But it's called Big Beans and Tomato Vinaigrette. And the recipe was printed in, I think, the August issue of Bon Appetit. And it comes from Scribe Winery, which is a winery in Sonoma County that is like very hip and cool. I would really like to go there sometime. But basically you get the biggest beans that you can find. I think mine were gigante beans. You just cook them like I usually do, but you have to be really careful with big beans because they can fall apart. So you don't want to stir them vigorously. Just kind of give them a gentle stir.
Did you use Rancho Gordo beans?
I did not use Rancho Gordo beans.
Okay.
I used another brand that I found at a fancy market.
I went to the fancy market that you told me to go to, and I couldn't even find that kind of bean. So I got a different, like the largest white bean I could find.
I basically just got the biggest
and they
white
were
bean.
fine. I mean, they tasted great. I still have some in my freezer, actually, but go on.
They're so good. So while the beans are cooking, you make a tomato vinaigrette in the blender. So you just blend up a bunch of cherry tomatoes, vinegar, olive oil, and I think garlic. And then you slice a bunch of like beautiful heirloom tomatoes from the farmer's market. And then you put the beans on top and then drizzle the tomato vinaigrette and serve it with like delicious bread.
Wasn't there like red wine vinegar or something?
Oh yeah, red wine vinegar.
Yeah. I bet you could do it with lemon too, and that would probably be just a different flavor.
Yeah, I think you could do it
that
with
would be
lemon.
good.
And herbs. You want to like
basil.
There's some like oregano.
Oh yeah. I made it too, and it was so good. The only thing when I made it, I was like, you know what would make this better? Burrata.
Cheese. I 100% agree. It would have been better with burrata.
But it was delicious as is.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you could probably make this with other seasonal vegetables.
Yeah, I was thinking that vinaigrette would be good on a lot of different things. Yeah. Like on a quinoa bowl,
Oh, yeah, definitely. Or you could even just, roast vegetables and then serve it with those beans and any kind of vinaigrette you want. The beans, and the bread and maybe some cheese.
Yeah, because it was like you toss the beans in the vinaigrette, so the beans kind of soaked up that sauce.
They're kind of like acidy.
Yeah, and the beans were just so good.
So good.
Oh, man, yeah. That was a good recipe. I really loved it.
That was the best. I was so pleased.
The second there's a good tomatoes next year, I'm going to make that like right away.
I know. You could just come to our house and pick all the tomatoes. Oh, man.
Please tell me if you have an excess of tomatoes or zucchini. We love zucchini.
Do you really?
Like, I didn't even grow zucchini all year round, even when it's out of season. Because it's just like, we eat it for breakfast. We eat it for dinner. Like, it's just
How do you eat it for breakfast?
Oh, maybe we should have a breakfast episode.
Yeah, okay. Let's save that for the breakfast episode.
Because I have a lot of good...
A little teaser for you.
Breakfast ideas about zucchini. Well, maybe not a lot of ideas, but we eat them most of the time for breakfast.
Huh.
So, there you go.
There you go. Zucchini.
Oh, there's another really good soup. I'll just mention one more recipe.
We could talk about beans all day, I think.
Another soup. So it uses chickpeas and red lentils.
Oh.
So it's called curried chickpea and lentil soup, and it's from Food 52. Uh-huh. Actually, I think I originally found this recipe from somewhere else, like Cookie and Kate or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I know Cookie and Kate.
But it's really easy. It's mostly pantry items. It's like cans of tomatoes, red lentils, chickpeas, and then like some other spices. And then you put some kind of vinegar in it to kind of lighten it up a little. And I think when I made it, I added kale probably because I always add kale.
Yeah, you always add kale.
But it was really hearty. I made this for a crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I made it for my husband and I. We loved it so much that I made it like a week later when we were going on a trip with some people.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, oh, this will be a good thing to make.
That's a great like beach house.
Yeah, because
meal.
you just bring
just
stop
cans
at
of
the
stuff.
store on the way
Yeah.
and buy a bunch of cans. So it was really good. So we'll link that in the show too. I don't remember all the details about it.
It's so nice to have a couple cans of beans because you know that dinner is just like right there.
Yeah, it's easy to just, well, what else do I have? What
Right.
else can I whip up with this can?
Yeah. Exactly. Especially if you keep your fridge stocked with various salsas and hot sauces and that kind of stuff.
We're members of the co-op down the street, the Alberta Co-op, and we used to live right across the street. That's why we don't go there as much as we used to when we lived across the street, but members get 10% off on the 10th of every month.
Oh, nice.
And so that's this week. So we're going to go, I basically am making this huge list of all the I basically just raid the bulk bins.
Oh, yeah.
Like everything that I haven't been
10%
buying.
10% off is a really good deal.
I haven't been buying anything pantry in a while because I'm waiting for the 10th. So my pantry's kind of bare right now. So I like to have a really stocked pantry. So then I just go to the store and I'll get like greens, whatever vegetables in season, and just make it work with whatever I have at home. What do I feel like eating or cooking? So pantry's the way to go.
It's the way to go.
I mean, beans. We can't talk about beans and not talk about Taco Bell because bean burrito from Taco Bell is like the world's greatest food.
It is so good. And the pintos and cheese.
Oh my gosh.
I actually haven't had that in a very long time.
Taco Bell is my favorite fast food. I'm not ashamed. And I don't only eat it when I'm drunk either. I don't eat it a lot. But a lot of people I know are like, well, I can only eat that if I'm drunk. Well, I don't agree. I think you should eat Taco Bell more. The main thing is don't eat their meat because it doesn't. For me,
what is it?
For me, it doesn't do well on my digestive system. If I stick to the vegetarian items, I'm good.
You know, nothing at Taco Bell is gluten-free.
Nothing?
Maybe the pintos and cheese are, but the meat is not.
I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah.
But also, did you know they have black beans?
No.
They do. And so they just recently put out this new vegetarian menu, which they've always had all these items.
But they're kind of rebranding.
Yeah. So the best new thing, that new because I've never knew it existed, is the black bean Crunchwrap.
Ooh.
Highly recommend getting that if you have a craving for Taco Bell. You know, there's that Taco Bell flavor. It's like the lettuce and the
Ryan really loves
crunchy
Taco Bell.
tortilla, whatever. I never had a Crunchwrap until like a year ago, and now it's my favorite thing ever. So there's a bar here that has a vegan Crunchwrap, so I've had it there.
Wait, where?
It's called, I always mix up the name of it. I think it's called Century. It's on Sandy.
Oh.
So I had the vegan Crunchwrap at this bar, and then I never had a real one before that.
Oh, yeah.
So then we got a real one time, and I was like, this is good, but it hurt my guts because of the meat. So now, this black bean one, it's the best of both worlds.
I'm so happy for you.
And it's so cheap. Anyway, I love Taco Bell. I could probably do a whole episode about Taco Bell.
I love Taco Bell, too. Well, I used to love Taco Bell when I could eat it. All right, well, now it's time for our Recent Feast segment where we each talk about a delicious meal that we have made recently. Michelle, what do you have for us?
I know you're going to be surprised, but it's a soup.
Wait, is there kale in it?
No, I did buy kale to put into the soup, but I decided not to because I didn't want to put too much in because sometimes I go overboard and I add more than I need to. So the thing that I made really recently that was delicious was called curried cauliflower and corn chowder. It was from thekitchen.com. It was super easy, and I was feeling kind of sick that week, so it really hit the spot. It's like ginger, garlic, curry powder. I added a little bit of cayenne, and I think I added also some just extra turmeric, and I don't know. I just kind of like add in extra spices usually, but the main spice was curry powder. So the first thing you do is you scoop out the solid part from the top of a can of coconut milk and heat it up and add in ginger, garlic, curry powder, whatever other seasonings you feel like. Like I added cayenne. I think I added extra turmeric, like I already said. And then just kind of stir it up, let it cook a little bit in that coconut oil. And then you add in half of a cauliflower that you've already chopped up and half of a diced onion and a little bit of salt and just cook it until the vegetables are soft. Then you just add the rest of the can of coconut milk, scrape up the brown bits from the bottom of the pan, and then blend it all up. Put it back in the pot with the rest of the cauliflower, the rest of the onion, a bunch of potato that you chopped up, and then a little bit of soy sauce, water, and salt, and just let it simmer until all the vegetables are cooked. And then add in corn. I put in like twice the amount of corn than the recipe called for because I was like, I don't know, I don't want to keep this little bit of the bag. So, I mean, I guess it would have been plenty to save, but I just used all of it, and I didn't think it was too much. Let the corn heat through, and then add some lime juice if you want.
Yum. That sounds delicious.
It was super, like, comforting, but felt kind of healthy, too. And we had it with naan bread. The recipe said to put cilantro, but I didn't get cilantro. But I did have green onions, so I put green onions on it. And then I also made some, like, bacony mushrooms.
What is a bacony mushroom?
So this is kind of a recipe that I learned from experimenting with some of the non-meats. Like, you can make tempeh bacon, or I guess tempeh bacon's the most common one.
Right.
So it's basically just a marinade that you make. And so I use it for mushrooms. So it's kind of just, I kind of just wing it. It's just like soy sauce, liquid smoke, garlic powder, smoked paprika, pepper, and just kind of like toss the mushrooms in that and let it sit for however long you want.
Yum.
And it's really good with portobello. Like if you can slice the portobello really thin,
like a piece of bacon,
then it would be closer to bacon, I guess. You can fry it in the stove, but I just did it in the oven because I was just trying to sit down while my soup was cooking. So I just let them roast like while the soup was simmering, and then put them on top like bacon.
That sounds delicious.
They're so good, and I like kept half of them out for another meal because they're so good, and I didn't want them to get lost in the soup. So they're just like a little topping. So the soup is sort of like a combo of like Indian like aloo gobi with like a regular chowder, I guess.
Chowder, yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh,
it's kind of a weird mix of flavors, but it seems like it would be weird, but it wasn't. It was super good.
I feel like there's some really great recipes on the kitchen.
There is. So I feel like they might be a little hit or miss, or
if you can like dig through.
There's so many.
There's so much on there.
Yeah, I like when they feature recipes from other blogs too.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. What about you, Eliz? What's something great that you made recently?
All right, well, I want to talk about Joshua McFadden's kale sauce with every noodle, which is kind of like a classic in our house. It's from, his cookbook is called 6 Seasons, A New Way with Vegetables. Do you have this cookbook?
I have it, but I have not made this recipe yet, so tell me all about it.
It's really great. It's so easy and quick. Basically, you just start by boiling a pot of water, and he says, as salty as the sea.
Yeah, I always salt my pasta heavily.
You have to really heavily salt it. While you're waiting for the water to boil, you just kind of saute some smashed garlic cloves in olive oil for about 5 minutes, and then you just set it aside.
Do you scoop them out, or you leave them?
You leave them in. Okay. You're actually putting it all in the blender, and so
okay.
you don't even have to chop the garlic. And I have actually skipped this step, and it was still delicious.
I bet.
It doesn't really need that much garlic. Anyways, while the water is boiling, then you take about a pound of stemmed dinosaur kale, or you could use any kale. You could probably use any green, but the recipe calls for kale. And you just let it cook for about 5 minutes. And then you take some tongs and transfer the leaves directly to the blender, and they will be a little bit wet, and that's totally fine. Then you add the pasta, cook the pasta, and then before you drain the pasta, you need to reserve about a cup of the water. And then to the blender, you just add the oil with the garlic. You have the kale leaves that have been, cooked briefly, and then a little bit of the pasta water, and then just like blend it up. And it turns the most beautiful, bright green color. It's like way more green than like pesto would be, but it tastes similar. And then you just put it back into the pot and, mix it up with the pasta, add a bunch of Parmesan cheese. And then, I usually like double the amount of Parmesan cheese.
Of course.
It's so delicious.
Yeah.
And then you can add a little bit of the pasta water if, you have reserved just to make it kind of coat the pasta better. Sometimes it does need like a squirt of lemon juice, I find.
I think that would be good. Or like zest would probably be good too.
Or zest. And then basically you can mess around with it. You could add some like crushed red pepper would be good.
What would be really good with that? White beans.
White beans. You could absolutely add white beans to that.
Yeah. That sounds really good.
It is very good.
I've been seeing it all over the internet, and I do have the cookbook. I'm trying to get better about using my cookbook, so I need to definitely.
It's really simple, and it's really good, and I don't know. It's not too heavy.
Right.
I really like the recipe, and it's really beautiful too. So
yeah,
it looks really nice on your plate with other things.
I'm gonna make that soon. Well, I think that's about it. Do you have anything else to say about beans?
Just that they're delicious.
They really are. Well, thank you for joining us at the Flexitarian Feast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you are listening. Next time, we'll be talking about winter vegetables, so you won't want to miss it.
You can find us online at theflexitarianfeast.com and on Instagram at theflexitarianfeast. A huge thank you to our producer, Tiki Sound. I'm Eliz.
And I'm Michelle, and we'll see you next time. Until then, eat lots of plants.